Good morning. Today we're going to be taking a look at some XRP from the current price action zoomed in, along with some historical properties of XRP, along with the Sigma coin. So, all right, so we've been following this fractal. We still anticipate that we're going to ultimately have an ABC correction back down into these inefficiencies in the market here. But we're entertaining the idea of a continuation based off of some historic price action. So, lower, right? That's what we're expecting. Big resistance being found here just before the fair market value, almost invalidating the breakdown on the count with a 2.3158. If we can start clearing above that, then we know that we've cleared this wave one, and we would have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave move to the downside being finished on this larger macro trend, and we would actually be all done with the breakdown at this point with our wave 1, 2, and I'm going to say 3, 4, and 5 coming into play here. And then that's it. We're done. We've made it above this and we're out of here. Okay. So now, realistically, though, there's still a potential rollover that can happen, even a new lower low that can play. And it's all dependent ultimately on how price action plays. But what we're looking at now, though, is that this price action here has been very reminiscent of the same capitulation breakdown that occurred off of this time period where we ended up dumping and then stepping up, moving back into the mid-range, and then from there we ended up just continuing onward with an impulsive structure. So now zooming in on both of these structures here, we've just been watching it. The invalidation that we're expecting is starting to close down here, right? We start setting new lower lows because these were all higher lows, right? Start setting new lower lows through here, then we know that something is broken and we're going to be heading back down into this region. But if we don't and we start clearing above here, well, then we know we're onward, right? So it's really just we have to wait for this to play out for us to know which direction is which. So zooming in and looking at these two structures, we had our ABC down. Again, this count is not correct. I'm just using it for structured so you can kind of follow along with your eye. We had our ABC down, ABC down, ABC up, ABC up. And then we had another ABC down, and then from there, we ended up doing this kind of like double bounce, and we had this double bounce kind of thing here. So I guess we would call this yet again another ABC. So it's probably like some kind of triangle thing we're doing with this many ABCs playing out here. But we would do another ABC up, and then from where we are now, we end up having an ABC up, okay? And then we come all the way back down to the bottom of the range, and we come back down mid-range here, and then we come up to fair market value, gets stuck underneath it, back test -1 deviations, which is where we are seeing this purple line being, okay? So we back test both. Then we start forming little bull flags on that, get back up underneath fair market value, and then we take off and start closing above, and that's your breakout that you end up happening. So in this time period here, you did have the low come in, which we still may see another one, right? That wicked down almost to -2 deviations into that supply there. And if we end up having that same kind of behavior, then we would ultimately, eventually recover. But if it gets held here, we could almost imagine that we are sitting right about here on this chart now, and we would be looking at that. So, and that would be kind of roughly where we went up to this level, came down, and now we're setting these bull flags formations off of that -1 deviation backtest. So that would be basically where we're at, and we're ultimately looking to see if we can get a continuation of the price action onward and upward from here. So yeah, let's go back 3 things here because we lost it. Oh no, it's gone. Well, we'll get it back again. So but yeah, so anyway, the ultimate breakdown is that we have this type of setup here playing, and we're going to just watch this price action to see if we start setting higher lows. And if we do, we know we're getting very impulsive and we're moving our way out of here. And then again, with the target of clearing 2.3158, which would be the invalidation of the breakdown. And otherwise, we're just going to continue to roll back over, and we can continue falling and chopping and maybe even targeting this moving average down here in the 160s. So we will see how that plays. So now this is kind of fun. So I jumped over historically and wanted to see what we had done in the past here. So this is a chart where we have both Bitcoin in orange and XRP in candles, okay? And I've drawn some drawings on here, so I'm going to break them down here for you. So back in the day, this is 2017, we had a flat for Bitcoin, an ABC down, an ABC up, and a 5-wave move to the downside that you can see right there. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's your 5-wave move to the downside, a flat, just like what we've done now for Bitcoin. So into this flat, you'll actually see that price action for XRP went up, and then it too came down into that same kind of breakdown, and then set itself upwards into that corrective move. From there, though, into Bitcoin's first initial little bull flag that it set here, where it does this little quick up and bounce before heading higher, XRP actually took off, right? So we actually can see that into that moment, XRP just goes whoop and just pops up to the top of the range and takes out all of those levels, as it then has to consolidate further. And if we've figured this is wave 1 and 2, then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for wave 3, and then a long wave 4, and then our final 5th wave would move its way out for this full extension of our final 5th wave, right? So 1, 2, and then in this wave 3, you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then so on and so forth. So basically, potentially, if we're in the area that I think we are, which is this green circle, with a flat that's happening at the same time on Bitcoin right there, with the flat finalizing down at the lows with a breakout backtest, and we end up having a breakout backtest on XR or Bitcoin. Let's go there real fast. So we end up going, let's zoom out to the daily. There's your flat, right? So there's your ABC down, ABC up, and this ends up being the ABC. So we end up doing the ABC down, and then we do the ABC up. And then we have our, there's your up right there. Bop. And then we do our 5-wave move to the downside. And into this little bull flag right here is the same area where we do this little bull flag right here that XRP just started going. So we'll just continue to monitor this. I just thought this was an interesting potential for where we are in the cycle, that XRP starts outperforming the market as one of the first movers. And we have been able to see that with just kind of the strength that it's just been hovering out here, where a lot of other assets have been rolling over, trying to build their base. So that's hopefully helpful. And then finally here at the another thing that makes me think that there is this potential for that scenario is that Sigma has made its way up to this range and just chopped sideways as it's getting ready to potentially start breaking out from here and moving back up to the top of the range. It won't take much for this to happen. And if money from XRP pops off first and rotates to alternative assets like Sigma or Sologenic, and then that money is rotated for more multipliers, then there's a lot of potential for amazingness to step in here for the next leg. So, but just thought this was interesting that into the same flat back in 2017, XRP had already moved up to the top of the range into it, did a little back test move, and then popped into that first bull flag that was here, giving it a really good rate of return. And then it kind of cooled off and then went again when Bitcoin confirmed that it had actually broken out after it cleared retraces. So we may actually see a good move on XRP here pretty soon, based off of the same exact structure that Bitcoin had done back in the day after completing a final, like a move to the upside, and then it's flat for a wave 2, and then it continued on for Bitcoin. It continued on for, let me see. So here's Bitcoin. So we go back. Basically, it had been bounced off the lows, right? Did a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My goodness, there we go. That's why it's over here. All right, but ended up getting a flat right here in this area after completing a 5-wave move to the upside, the flat that came in for a wave 2. And then Bitcoin ultimately continued onward out of that range to complete its 5-wave move upwards. So it could be very, very insane as this continues, just imagining if we're right here in the Bitcoin cycle as that could happen. So, all right, so that's basically just something I thought was very interesting as far as information is concerned, with seeing a same exact structure of a flat right here where we are now, with XRP giving the signal that it can actually take off into that first leg of that flat on the way out of here. So, all right, guys, we'll check in tomorrow and we'll continue to monitor this fun fractal. Thanks so much for watching.